Hi, I'm Beth Fisher. I am the Publishing Director here at MediaNet Publishing. We have a very special guest. We have Emily Hollands at OSB Group, who will be discussing all things bridging from Precise Mortgages and InterBay. And my first question really is about your specialist finance team. So how have you refined them as a team in this division, and how will they be working together and collaborating on expertise?
That is a really good question, and it's kind of a subject that I'm really passionate about as well. So we have a team of 7 specialist finance account managers now, which we've grown significantly over the past nearly 18 months now. First of all, we have national coverage, which is fantastic. So every single broker and distributor that we deal with has got a contact. But what is brilliant about them, and obviously I'm biased because they're my team, but I think that the knowledge that they have been able to gain by working across both brands, so they've worked with Precise and Precise Bridging, and they've also done InterBay, which is obviously the semi-commercial, commercial, and now bridging as well, and they've really kind of pulled together as well as a team. So they all come from different backgrounds. So I've got, Simon, for example, in the north, he's been a BDM for years. We've got Mo in London, also been a BDM for years at various other different lenders. We've got Steve, who's got an underwriting background. Ross has worked for brokers, everybody. And Kev as well, they've all got a really strong presence and experience of being BDMs or underwriters, which just brings together, makes us more of a team, means that we can bounce ideas off each other, and just ultimately do a better job for the brokers.
How would you, when a broker goes to either Precise or InterBay, what makes that a bridging loan that's supposed to go to InterBay and vice versa?
So with Precise, the key thing with Precise is it's a regulated bridging lender. So as well as the non-reg, it does regulate it. And we've just launched into the heavy refurb regulated, so that's opened up a real opportunity for people that long term want to buy residential properties for themselves, but they're not mortgageable at the moment, and they can do a massive refurb on them, and that's absolutely fine. We can help them with that. There is the non-regulated option as well through Precise, which is the same as InterBay, and we've made sure to kind of keep the proposition very similar across the brands. But it goes back to what I said. We've got brokers that like using Precise, and we've got brokers that like using InterBay. So what we've actually done is put the lending into both brands, but it means that everybody is happy and they can choose which route they want to access our products via. Also on InterBay, we've got the developer exit products, which again is something that we did back in 2019. So it's fantastic that we can launch it again. And that, it speaks for itself. That is to help people exit development finance for the nearly completed properties before they then move on to term them out.
Definitely, we've definitely seen a huge number of new kind of development exit products in the market. Seems like there's a lot of demand for that from borrowers. Considering we're in quite a volatile market right now, how are you kind of underwriting? Like, how has the underwriting process changed? How are you assessing risk differently? What would you say on that front?
I think it is volatile, but I also think the market's very resilient. And actually, we've gone maybe over 2 years now since COVID, haven't we? So there was enough data to back up the bridging market, the commercial market, to actually say things are not as kind of terrible as they may have been feared to be at the beginning of the pandemic. We're not in that place anymore. So I actually don't think that the underwriting is more onerous. But post-pandemic, I think that we, ultimately we understand there is a customer at the end of the journey, and there is a broker in the middle trying to do the best they can for that customer. So we will do everything possible to make their lives easier while satisfying our risk. And particularly on bridging, speed is the essence, isn't it? We need to get terms out straight away. So if we can look at a case and, we'll ask for just what we need in order to get comfortable with the risk. We're not going to go over and above.
On top of trying to make things easier for brokers, what kind of advice would you give to brokers in the bridging market right now to kind of ensure that their case gets through and quickly and sufficient, basically?
I think that the key is understanding your contacts. We make it really easy to contact us. So as I said, we've got our specialist finance team who are the experts in the area, but we also give you access to the underwriters. And we've always done that. And I know that a lot of our key distributors out there have got really strong relationships with our underwriting team, which I think is fantastic. So that makes a big difference. And then you get to understand, what Precise are going to ask for, what InterBay are going to ask for, and the better the packaging, the easier it is to get the deal out. And from our commitment, as I said, we know speed is of the essence, so we're going to get those terms out to you as soon as we can.
And obviously the importance is always on the underwriting from the outset, that is, to try and make sure that the yes or the no is
yeah, exactly,
as accurate as possible.
Exactly. And you just it's just about giving us the whole picture up front, isn't it?
Yeah, makes sense. You mentioned earlier about the kind of products that you brought out in April across both brands, and a lot of focus was on the heavy refurb product. So what has that kind of been launched as a result of the PDR, the new PDR, which was introduced last August?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the things. So with the changes in PDR, obviously that kind of makes it more accessible, doesn't it, to do these conversions and these refurbs, and obviously the heavy refurb product fits quite nicely in that. It's also available on regulated, as I said, so it's people doing big refurbs for themselves. It isn't just about turning a commercial building into residential. There's always been a demand for heavy refurb, and I think we're just sort of recognising that that's still there post-pandemic, and supplying products to suit those kind of deals.
Have you seen quite a range of new types of properties which are being converted? Like, what's the demand been like on that side?
Really, really strong, and there doesn't seem to be a consistent. So, we've had people, convert, or we've had examples of cases where they've converted or they've nearly converted a commercial into 6 flats. That's absolutely fine. We can do that. Or where they're thinking about doing it, so they haven't started. So therefore, it's a heavy refurb. There's so many different scenarios, and it actually just could be a standard house that is currently just bricks and mortar and needs all sorts doing to it. It really varies. And again, I think that's why it's brilliant that we've got the proposition via Precise, via InterBay, because it caters for everything.
So how can the new bridging products from Precise and InterBay be used to retrofit and upgrade, the old and drafty UK housing stock across the UK, but in an affordable way? Because I know costs are a huge thing for landlords right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, cost of materials is massive, as we've said. So, bridging is so much cheaper than it used to be. So it's no longer a lending line of last resort. And actually, by doing that to the property, you are potentially adding value to that property by making the improvements. Even if it's not specifically related to EPCs, just making general improvements is potentially going to add value, which means you are more than likely going to be able to term that out at the end of the refurb, which is why bridging is there.
Do you think that just going on from the kind of adding value part, because I know it seems that adding value from surveyors, so valuers actually aren't really including EPC in their valuations. Do you think something needs to change there so that that actually does come out on the?
I think it will happen automatically as we get closer to the 2025 or the 2026 deadline. I see those conversations happening so much more within InterBay and Precise now. We're really keen to understand, and so obviously we give our valuers guidance of what information we want from them. So as soon as that becomes something that lenders want to consider, then the valuers will start providing it.
Oh, I'm really excited for you guys, and I'm sure a lot of the brokers tuning into this will be really excited to see what comes next.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be interviewed by you.
Always a pleasure, Emily. Thank you so much.